Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's I, Taylor Field, here today, and that is right, you are getting a super duper spoilers review of Mulan. Yes, this is another Taylor solo review for a brand new movie, ladies and gentlemen. Believe it or not, I can't believe it. You know, there's some crazy times happening right now, and we got new movies popping up, which is great. But you know what? I didn't have to go to the theater to see this movie. I got to see this new movie from the luxury of my own home. Safe, free, clear, whatever. So that was a very nice experience. Crank the bass up and just be able to watch a new movie. So before I get into the Mulan content, plugs. Yeah, make sure you check out GeekVerse podcast anywhere on the web. Find us GeekVerse Cast on Twitter, GeekVerse on Facebook, geekverse.ca for our home base with all of our content on there. And be sure to check out Geek Ultimate Alliance as well. You find lots of stuff every day of the week. There is something going on over there. It is a great network. Tons of stuff popping off over there. Me and Travis just recently did a review for The Boys Season 2. The first 3 episodes, mind you. And on top of that, we did a spoilers and non-spoilers reviews for New Mutants. And we did spoiler and non-spoiler review for Tenet as well. Those were some crazy films. Holy smokes. But check out those reviews. Again, it was super awesome just to be able to get back into the groove of, some new movies coming out. It's just so awesome to finally have things kind of feel like, content is resurfacing. So I believe we have a newscast sometime next week with, me, Travis, and Kirkland. So hopefully get like the GB3. There's a new Out of Mana episode that debuted, I believe, from your one and only Dylan Muss. And on top of that, I think that's pretty much it in the world of GeekVerse. We are expecting, I'm hoping we're going to get that Mandalorian Season 2 trailer dropping soon here. If it were to drop this weekend, I would be okay with that. I wouldn't have any problems. So if that happens, that's great. And you probably will get like an impromptu cast from me and Travis when the trailer drops, I would imagine. Unless Travis doesn't want to. Coming September 12th, we have the wrestling match, and Travis is talking so much shade. I don't know where the shade's coming from. I was having breakfast, and all of a sudden these guys in suits walk in, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? They broke my door down, the bolts. I gotta talk to the landlord, get the bolts fixed, and they slapped this contract down right in my freaking oatmeal crisp, got milk all over the goddamn floor, and they put this Sharpie in my hands. It wasn't even a black ink Sharpie, it was a red ink Sharpie, and they said sign your name, and it had like the really thick like knob like tip, so it was like a horrible, I couldn't properly like signature. It was like signing your name at like those government offices with the screens and you have the horrible pens. It was a horrible time. And then they just left, and then the door was just broken, and apparently they came from Travis about the wrestling match. I had to sign this contract, NDA, I don't even know why, I didn't even get to read it. They put glasses on my face as they told me to sign, so I couldn't read everything properly. But so yeah, that happened. Anyways, I'm not scared about this wrestling match. It's rocks under the mountain. So, yeah, other than that, I think that's pretty much it for plugs. So let's get into some Mulan here, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this film, I'll start with some non-spoilers first and a little bit of backstory here. So I was so close to seeing this in theaters. Let's go back, roll the clock a little bit back to March. I had my tickets for Quiet Place 2. I had got my tickets for Mulan. Just so pumped. I was gonna be like, oh, this is gonna be great. Finally get to see some more new movies. It's gonna be awesome. And I was getting really pumped about Mulan because when I first heard about it, I wasn't sold on it, but the marketing started to take effect on me and started to work on me, and I really got into it. So when COVID hit and it got axed, it was so crushing because I thought, oh, now I'm gonna have to wait a little bit longer, and I'm glad that it didn't get the same treatment as A Quiet Place 2, because now A Quiet Place is delayed twice now, all the way until 2021, which, I understand for sure why they have to do that. On the front of Disney and Mulan, though, I wasn't surprised that they would put it on Disney Plus, but I think that Disney Plus serves as a great outlet for them to put these movies out, because people will pay them. It's just when you pitch like, oh, 3 months later it'll be free, everyone can stream it, then it's like, oh, it's horrible, because then the people like us that have to review it, it's like, well, we gotta fork out these funds to get our review out. Or if you're just a big fan, you fork out the funds for it, which is no doubt, or like no doubt, no problem there. But it's it was just, I feel like Disney Plus is just that ideal thing that as a huge conglomerate that you would want. It gives you so much variety to just, if your films get delayed by any means, you just put it out on the streaming service. I feel like, and I'm not sure, I won't speak on Travis's behalf, but I feel like Travis thinks that Black Widow might end up being just tossed onto Disney Plus, which, I mean, again, it'd be a shame. I know Mulan is playing in select theaters, and I imagine if this happens with Black Widow, they would do the same treatment for that select theaters and then put onto the streaming service. So I would highly recommend, like, because this is just, it's new. I've never seen a movie just do like, it's because I guess it's streaming and being charged on Disney Plus counts as its theatrical release, and then to just be released on the streaming service regularly in December. I think that's like the fastest turnover rate in the history for a film being in theaters straight to being available. And it just blows my mind because it's like a 3 month turnover rate. So all I can say is, though, when you're planning on getting, together, watching, a movie that seems like it's going to be the new norm, possibly, where you have to pay, and then you get like a new movie that could be in theaters but at home, which is very convenient and nice, I highly recommend doing it as a group. Now, I put the offer out to other geeks, and just they were either ghosting me or were too busy, so yeah. But let's get into Mulan. So the movie is just, it kickstarts off with just beautiful visuals, I find, and it had, for me, a nice heartwarming story. And it just, this isn't really a spoiler, but it lays down the law and the clarity that this is a new adaptation of the story. And I'm totally fine with that. I know everyone's missed about Mushu and Mushu and those songs and all that fun stuff, but at the end of the day, they're allowed to create their own take and their own impression and their own perspective on this story. I think that's where creativity blooms and blossoms, is because it comes from one original concept that grows into so many different takes and perspectives and stories. And to me, it's being a creator, it's being a designer, it's allowing something to grow. It's like when you invent something and it just, people build off of your invention. I think that's awesome to create these different takes. So for me, it jived well with me, this movie and its story, the changes that it did. I was coming off of a binge of Once Upon a Time in China with Jet Li. I'm on the third one right now, and I'm just like, I'm getting all up into the martial arts right now. I'm doing like a whole martial arts kick right now with these old films. So just to kind of have a new martial arts film kind of fall right into my grace was just so pleasant. And I can't remember the actress's name, and we did a whole like spiel on it in one of the other news or our superhero draft podcast. Check that out. But I can't remember her name, and she was a great Mulan. I adored her. I thought she was fantastic. I loved Donnie Yen in this film. He was absolutely awesome. Again, like he's in the Disney family, and I think it's got to be a matter of time before he makes that jump into Marvel, and I get those points in my superhero draft pick. He's been in Rogue One, now he's been in Mulan, and I feel like he's just prime for the picking. His stuff and his the way he fights is just it's awesome to watch and behold. And again, like all these characters, as they develop in this story and they go through the similar arcs of like the animation film, and you can kind of tell like, oh yeah, this is the trajectory they're going for here. And even the score has moments where it just plays these new tunes that have these subtle reminders or tracks of the cartoon, and it's just so nice and pleasant and nostalgic. But the film tackles a lot of, I don't want to say like a lot of issues in the present day, but it tackles many things of like that time period and the things that, especially like women would have to face and deal with. And you feel for them because it's such a hard life. And when you look at even in the present day now, where man of the household feels like he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders and he has to do everything himself. He can't let the wife and the mother do this because it's not her place or whatever. But, guys, you don't have to be so prideful. Just let the world just ooze off your shoulders and just work as a team. The world would be a lot better place if we all are just equal and we're all just, all doing it, to benefit each other and just get through the end of the day working as a team with each other. And, this movie, it just, when that revelation came with Mulan and her cohorts, spoiler, not spoiler, because what happens after even the cartoon or whatever. So when that happens, it's so relaxing and you feel free along with Mulan in that sense. And I love that aesthetic that they were able to bring, and cinematically it was just so well captured when that feeling and that aesthetic of freedom is unveiled, and it delivers on screen. In my opinion, they really do a good job at emphasizing and displaying that. I really like the ending. It was so many good moments, and I like the twist of them having this the witch, as you've seen from the trailers. I'm sure it was just a very interesting character addition, and I think it definitely it helped, I believe, Mulan's journey in her own right. And it also was there was a few characters in this film that definitely had like a quick turn, not for the worse, but they just kind of turned in the opposite direction. It's like, well, maybe that's pretty quick, but rocks into the mountain, right? So overall, I feel like, unless you're a very, very serious Mulan fan, I don't think you would need to drop the price to pay for renting, or when you rent this movie on Disney Plus, you get to keep it permanently. But I feel like there's no need to necessarily go out of your way and watch it right away. That being said, I justified at the same time where, okay, me and my fiance, we are going to the movies, let's say, hypothetically. The price of 2 admission tickets would be the price that we pay for this film, basically, to stream it on the Disney Plus. So if you can justify that, let's say you're a dad, you got your wife, you got 2 kids, 3 kids, even 1 kid, then I feel like you justified it there if you wanted to rent it, because it's the price you pay to go see it at the theaters regularly. That being said, if you're short on funds, just, wait. Just wait. It'll be free by Christmas time, and then it'll be a great Christmas movie you can watch when it snows outside and you're inside and you can just chill with the fam, watch Mulan. But yeah, spoilers. 3, 2, 1. I'm just the only one assembling here. But yeah, let's see here. The film starts off, just Mulan's like a little kid, and it's just talking about her chi, and she's just going full martial arts, and she's doing things. Chickens are flying in this time frame universe where chickens ain't supposed to be flying, and she's doing some crazy stuff. So it definitely sets the tone. Okay, so chi allows you to tap in and do these amazing things, not out-of-body experiences, but it's more or less like you are able to become a part of your surroundings. And I love that kind of talk and that kind of energy and aesthetic, because it feels so wholesome, it feels so empowering, it makes you feel something that maybe we've disconnected from. And I love that when they dabble into that in these films. So they discuss all about the chi, and then you get a really good sense of relationship with the father and Mulan, and I really, really like that in this film. I feel like it was something that was always kind of grazed over a bit in the cartoon, but in this time around, it was just really nice to just see their connection. And they had a few of those just one-on-one sessions, one very emotional one-on-one session that I really, really liked, and it helped build the relationship and the reasoning behind, why Mulan is doing what she's going to do. And again, like, they label it at the beginning of the film, like, there's many different tellings of the story. This is my telling of the Mulan story and such. So I'm glad that they just slapped that down, just to, reiterate to people that this is our way of doing things. So after that, yeah, she goes off, and they did away with the whole Mushu thing, but they did have an equivalent in there of the Phoenix, and I thought that was nice because the Phoenix necessarily wasn't a real Phoenix engaging in the area or anything like that. The Phoenix was essentially just, I don't want to say a figment of imagination, but it was just appearing to her and her consciousness where others couldn't see it. And I like that. I like that attribute. I like that she was seeing the family crest and sigil. So that was a very nice addition to the film. What happened next? So yeah, she goes out to the camp, and she she starts making other friends with the characters and stuff like that, and the characters just like they form those unique personalities, and I really get a kick out of that. Like, she walks into the tent, and the guys are all being guys, and like their towels drop, and they're in the nude and stuff. You don't see anything, of course, kids movie, but they're in the nude, and like, okay, everyone to the showers, you all stink, I need someone to volunteer for night duty. And she's like, yeah, that's me. I couldn't imagine being in that scenario, because they're just being told, like, if you lie, or steal, it's expulsion and death. If you are a woman or bring a woman to camp, expulsion and death, all this stuff. And it's, oh my gosh, it's just, what a bloody time. And yeah, it's just, the transition too between scenes, where you have this one scene prior where she's at the matchmakers, and she's, stopping the spread of the spider or whatever, and now she's at this camp, and she's just suppressing her chi, she's suppressing herself. On that note, actually, just kind of like backtrack a little bit, when she's with her sister or mother and the matchmaker, I don't know what is off of her rocker. I don't like her. So this spider dangles in front of the sister, who has major arachnophobia, that crawls on the table, and Mulan puts the cup on top of the spider, containing it, and then the matchmaker's like, move the cup to the center of the table, what are you doing? And Mulan's like, I don't think you want me to do that. And she's like, no, you do it. And so then Mulan moves the cup, and then the spider jumps onto like the old lady matchmaker, and she falls back and kicks the bloody table up, and all of the teacups fall up from the air, and they're falling, and Mulan manages to like catch them all, and then her hairpin falls down, and she ends up tripping or whatever, and then the matchmaker comes out and says Mulan is like dishonorable, not dishonorable, but is not fit to be a wife or anything like that. I'm sorry, that was your fault, lady. You kicked the damn table up, and you were the one who caused the ruckus. You can't be blaming that on Mulan. 100% Mulan is not to blame. Moving along. So, yeah, she's at the camp, and then she starts to form the relationships, and then it's coming. You get that classic scene where she's in the water, and she's having her bath session, and it's just the one guy that is not necessarily a love interest, but is just a, well, maybe it would be considered a love interest. They don't really fall head over heels in love, but you can tell that there's something there that's forming, and he, it's more or less on her end. They might play it off like maybe he is feeling something for her, but it's mostly just on her end that you can kind of tell. But it's just the one guy that shows up there, and he just talks like, I will be there for you in battle, even though we got off on the wrong foot, and you might not be there for me, I'll be there for you. And I like that kind of talk. Excuse me, oh my gosh, losing oxygen. Yeah, so after that, it starts to replay these scenes that are very familiar to you if you've seen the cartoon. It dives into the troops of the 5th Battalion moving in. You see the 4th Battalion, their bodies all strung up or piled up or whatever, and it's just war and blood everywhere. It's very discouraging to see that, and I feel for them. On that note, they're not Mongolians, I believe they were called in this film. They were called something else. I can't recall what they were called. If you know, ladies and gentlemen, and you're watching this review, drop in the comments below, because I will tune back in just to see it. I won't Google it. I will wait for your response, ladies and gentlemen, because I want you to tell me what they were called. So you have the bad dudes, and I have to say, the main bad dude, maybe it's just me, but I feel like he looked like the bad dude from the cartoon. It was just like, he was in the eyes. The eyes, they were selling it for me. And I just think he did a great job, and I think that he paired up pretty well with the witch as well. I really liked how the witch played into the story. I think that she definitely bounced off of Mulan, I guess, in that right sense, because she was at one point later in the film she was probing Mulan, asking like, you're lying. What's going on? What is this? And you're gonna die a liar, and that changes into its own dynamic later on. But I like her story where she was just someone who wanted to use her chi and wanted to take this noble path, and she wanted to be so much more than who she was, but she wasn't capable of it because of the society and the standards that prevented her from being that. So she chose to align herself with these bad guys so that the bad guys could then assimilate in and take over the dynasty essentially, and just create a whole new realm where she would be allowed to be who she is. And I think that's very it gives her motive and it gives her a reason, even though she doesn't like the idea of working with this guy, and she doesn't like the idea of being his servant or anything, even though he expresses like, you're basically under my heel, I can command you to do what I need done. And she's very intense. Like the stuff she does, like she can possess, and she's got all these powers. She can transform into her eagle, and that sort of stuff. So, again, that her relationship builds very well with Mulan because they're on opposite ends of the spectrum, and Mulan is obviously trying to do better, trying to be good, and she chooses this noble path, and it's just an interesting dynamic. So as the story continues, you get to like that classic scene where they end up going to fight. They leave the garrison, they go out to fight the bad dudes, and basically they get caught in a horrible scenario. Like I want to keep calling them Mongolians. The bad guys retreat, and they just the witch comes in and starts turning into bats and like forces them all to like bundle up in their shields. So there's like 5 different groups of the good soldiers basically going full 300 Spartan mode with their shields all like making a little boxed in to protect them. And then the bad dudes, which are up on the hill under the snowbank, they light up these like explosive shell looking things and their catapults, and you just see like the shots go, and like there's one big group, and each group probably has like 20 to 30 people, I'd say, depending on the shields that they had, probably 20. And it's just this explosive thing just smashes in and just boom, blows up. It's just horrendous. And it was just visually, this was crazy. And this is when Mulan returns back into the scene and is just she's back, she's back to herself. And the narrator chimes in and says like, okay, this is where her her persona has died, and Mulan, it lived. And she comes back, and she just is such a badass. She goes in, and she's just doing all these awesome stunts, and everything is just so cool to see and behold. And she just goes to town on these bad guys. And then I love when she grabs the helmets, and she puts the helmets up on the hill, and she dekes them, not Mongolians, dekes the bad guys out, and they bring the avalanche down, which is cool. And she saves the love interest fellow, and this is when she reveals herself to Donnie Yen, the commander, and they just dismiss her for expulsion. And she is told, okay, if you return, you'll be exiled. And this is then where she leaves. This is when she has her heart-to-heart with the witch. And you get to learn a bit more about that story and their development, and the witch dives into the plans. Like, this was all a distraction. The main dude is actually heading to the capital, and he's going to basically kill the emperor. And, I mean, that's not good for anybody. So, once that is basically unfolding, the Mulan dismisses the witch and leaves and goes back to the garrison, and basically goes to the commander, and they were going to execute her, and she's like, no, we need to go because I have all this evidence, I'm saying all this stuff, this was a distraction, we need to go save him. And I love this moment because the people that she's trained with, they just start to cheer for her, like, I believe in Mulan, I believe in Mulan, I believe in Mulan. And I love that moment where they're all standing up and the commander just kind of like, he takes note. And I think that's where, you know, the voice of the people really come into play, and how the voice of people can really bring change, and they can even make people of authority sway and understand their faults and the faults in the system as well. So I love that moment where the men all stood up for her. I think that was so well done. And I love that they, again, this, it was a fast turn because the commander's like, well, you know, you'll lead the charge, which, I mean, the fact that she is leading, it does jeopardize a lot because it is highly illegal. But I really like their faith, and I get it. It's a younger generation film, so, you know, just roll with it. These films, they're gonna have like quick turnovers in certain story and character development, which is totally fine. You know, I can get on board with that. But she leads the charge, and they basically go to the capital city, where the whole shindig is going down. So it's the witch has basically impersonated the main, what was his name? The chancellor? I don't want to say the chairman, but it's he was like the second in command to the emperor, and he basically issued out all these orders to lure all the guards in together and such, and send the king or the emperor out to go and challenge a one-on-one duel against the main bad dude. And it was all staged because they trapped all the guards in one little area, and they attacked them. And that's where Mulan comes in and saves the day. She is literally the only one that successfully makes it to the emperor, but she doesn't do so without having another moment of dialogue with the witch. And you don't really see, you can't really tell what the witch is thinking, what's going on, because like they are acknowledging that they're the same, but the witch just is in disbelief because they embraced and accepted Mulan where they didn't accept and embrace the witch. So she's just very confused, but she leads Mulan to the emperor, and she makes that sacrifice to save Mulan, which again, I thought that was a quick turn in character development, but I rolled with it. It's fine. So on top of that, I love the scene though when Mulan is finally facing the main bad dude, and she's up there against the emperor is just, he's been taken hostage, and he's basically strapped up on top of this ton of bamboo shoots, and he's just watching. And you know, as much as he knows it's against the law for women to be like warriors and all that stuff, I love that he doesn't really have a choice. He's got to raise her up and lift her spirits, but like, because I mean, if your only saving grace is this woman who is breaking the law by protecting you, you're not gonna be like in the emperor's shoes and be like, hey, you're a woman, you should go get help and not be saving me right now because that's against the law. You're not gonna be doing that. You're gonna be doing everything in your power to be like, hey, like he does in the movie, you're a warrior, get back up. And this is right after she lost her sword. So he's like pumping her up and getting her going, and like, you know, you can do this, you're a warrior, you can fight. And I love the score with this film. There were so many tracks which are really good. I'm going to re-listen to it on Spotify tomorrow because the score, I loved so many of the tracks. It was so nice and so fitting to so many of the sequences and the scenes. So when Mulan gets back up and she goes to fight the main bad dude here, the fight around was pretty cool. I liked how she's using the bamboo shoots to kind of like take him out, and it ends up being, no, it wasn't anticlimactic. It was pretty crazy. Everyone loves to catch arrows in this movie. It seems like it's the norm. I'm gonna have to learn how to do it because, I mean, I can catch some things, but an arrow, I mean, I don't even know how you practice catching an arrow. Maybe you put like a tennis ball on the end of it and you shoot it, but then if the tennis ball hits your chest and the arrow goes through the tennis ball into your chest, I don't know. If you have a way of practicing how to get shot by arrows, actually, no, that doesn't sound very nice. I don't want to know. That sounds dangerous. So anyways, back to them grabbing the arrows, of course, though. So Mulan and the bad dude are on this like pillar balance beam thing, and Mulan totally dekes him out and gets his sword, cuts the rope holding the beam up, and he falls with the beam. And Mulan jumps over to the emperor, starts undoing his shackles in his right hand. All the while, the guy on the bottom who fell like 50 feet, he whips out his bow and arrow and he fires one off, and the emperor just grabs it with one hand like it was nothing. So I don't know how people are grabbing arrows. That's just, you won't. How do you practice grabbing arrows either? Because you only get one chance. It's not like you can do it again and again with unlimited chances. You get one chance, and if you lose, you really lose. So I don't know how, but it's a acquired skill, obviously. So it must be with the chi. It's with the chi. Yeah, I gotcha, chi. So he manages to do that, and then he throws the arrow up in the air, and Mulan's like, I got this, I'm a warrior, and she does like a triple somersault, 180 backflip, curve, volleyball spin kick of the arrow, and it shoots down into the bad dude's chest. And they DK out because they make it seem like he clenches his fist like he gets it, but then he looks at his hand, and he sees that the arrow's not in his hand, and he dies. And then when the camera pans out, there's this giant freaking arrow in his chest. Why would he look in his hands when he sees the arrow clearly in his chest? It's like denial almost. What's a good example? It's like, oh, I'm not eating a chocolate bar, and you look at your hand and you see tons of chocolate smeared on your hands. It's just, that doesn't really make sense, but in a weird equivalency of that kind of analogy. So, yeah, he died. And I believe I mentioned before he died, he did kill the witch. Because I believe I mentioned that, I can't recall now. Yeah, the witch, he popped an arrow off on Mulan, and the witch saved Mulan and sacrificed herself. That was the end of her journey and story. She believed in Mulan. So yeah, this main bad dude, he dies, and basically the Emperor gives Mulan whatever she wants. Pretty much just a job as one of my elite guards, which I'm thinking, okay, she's got to take it, because if she takes it, then she's setting the example for so many other women out there to be able to be so much more, like to be able to go and access their chi and not just be wives, but to be honorable, true, and brave, and swear by those 3 oaths, and be soldiers, and be proud of themselves, and they're honorable for their families, which is she was the role model. So I thought she has to take this gig, and she doesn't. She wants to go back and make amends with her family, which is just as honorable too, and she does that, and just has the heart to heart with her family. And then obviously Donnie Yen pops back up into the village, and he's got this awesome looking jade sword with this the 3 tenets on the sword, and then a new one, basically devotion and honor to family. So the dad is just so happy, everyone's happy for her. The matchmaker is pissed, she's fainting all over the place. So that happens, and then again they reiterate, like, the Emperor wants to just reiterate this offer he has for you. He waits your answer to be one of his most royal, outstanding officers. And then you get the sense, okay, now she's gonna take it. She's fixed everything with her family. She's got a kick-ass sword, and she's gonna take the job now. And then it breaks off into the classic some classic Mulan songs, and the credits roll. The credits were beautiful. So yeah, that's my quick power through this film. Whew. But I really, really enjoyed it. I feel like I'm gonna watch it again. I really am. I had so much enjoyment. As much as I like the cartoon, and I own the DVD for it, I like it, but in terms of comparing it with this, I think this movie, for me, it definitely, it reached out to me more than the animation did. And to be honest, I think that's a good thing. You want to have, in my opinion, different mediums that reach out to different audiences. I think that's very good, very valuable. Not everyone's going to like the same thing. It's impossible, and it's unhealthy. So create that diversity and create that perspective, and so it satisfies so many different people around the world with all different preferences and everything along those lines. I think that's the way to do it. So for me, this film, I like it more than the original. And it's just, I really enjoyed it. I like the story, I like the score, I like the actors, all that stuff. What was the other thing I was gonna mention? Gosh, must have not been important because I can't really remember it. Oh no, I remembered it. Yes, my significant other kept saying it. This movie is kind of like Assassin's Creed, but with what was she saying? Assassin's Creed mixed with mixed with something else. I can't remember for the life of me what she said it was mixed with. It was mixed with another game. But I mean, yeah, Assassin's Creed alone. I got major Assassin's Creed vibes from this. I was just waiting for Michael Fassbender to just pop out and start fighting, these assassins alongside Mulan. I think that would have been top tier. Missed opportunity for you, Michael Fassbender. You got to get in on the Mulan train as your assassin, Aguilar. Yeah, me personally, I would say this movie is probably an 8 out of 10. It's high. I want to watch it again. That's all I can say. And I don't want to be responsible for you if you're going to spend your money on renting this movie to own on Disney Plus. But like I said before, if you like Mulan, you're a big fan of that, or if you're a fan of just these martial arts stories in general, then by all means, try it. If you have a family and can justify spending that much money, if you were to equivalent it going to the movie theater, by all means, try it out, do it. But if you want and you can wait it out. It comes out in a couple months. There's no hurry. You got your Disney Plus, that's all you need. And you'll enjoy it as a family around Christmas time and all that. So that's grand and that's great, as long as you're not too busy watching Mandalorian. But, yeah, other than that, I think that pretty much does it. So, gosh, I haven't gotten out of practice yet. These solo reviews. I guess I did one for Train to Busan Peninsula, so that's good. I gotta get back into the groove and the jam of doing these solo movie reviews. But hopefully I won't be alone on the next movie review that we do. Hopefully I'll have some company. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning into this awesome spoilers review of Mulan and this episode of the GeekVerse podcast. It means so much to us that you guys are tuning in. It would mean so much more if you could just smash a like button or drop a follow on this page, whatever page you're listening or watching this on. It could be YouTube, could be Twitch, could be Podbay, it could be, hopefully it's on Spreaker and you hit that follow, or you subscribe to us on iTunes. We want iTunes likes too. Lots of comments as well. Let us know how we're doing. Even if you just drop a message on our social media and say, hey, Geeks, what is up? And we will respond because we love talking with you guys. You guys make our day. You guys just make the world go round for us. So, yeah, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I am Taylor, and I will see you in the search bar. Have a good one.